Your house is worth whatever it's worth, right? Whoever sells it. Wrong. I'm Charlie. Welcome to Moving Home with Charlie, and thank you for coming.
Charlie Landing grew up in Sussex, is the founder of Best Agent and presenter of Moving Home with Charlie.
If you want to find one of these guys, look out for those compassionate professionals. All estate agents are not the same.
So Charlie, what would be your advice for people interested in buying new builds right now?
Don't overpay. Do buy, but don't overpay. That's why I say disregard the guff. Read into the numbers and look, and it's buried. The bad news is buried in the small print, okay?
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Property Press Awards.
They may or may not be telling the truth, but you should form your own view. Get out and view, get out and view, get out and view. You cannot be in a position to make offers and have the offers accepted if you're not viewing. Just be out there viewing. Pay attention to the back of the class. If you've not been watching my videos, I did one just a couple of days ago. Disregard the guff, guys. Do you know the worst thing about how late I am starting this totally unscheduled live stream is that I actually finished my tea before I even started the live stream, so there's no slurp. I'm just trying to gauge how high or low to turn my rageometer in this video. And I'm going to try, I don't expect it's going to go very well. I'm going to try and I'm going to try and channel my David Attenborough, my inner David Attenborough, and just present the facts and not get emotional and not get carried away. I've had to change computers, right? So my main computer is just still not working. It just decided not to work on me at the last minute. I got a message today from a new follower on X who said, Charlie, my partner and I are looking to buy as first-time buyers. Is now or sometime in the next 2 years a good time to buy, or is it a bad time? And this is pretty much the first question new first-time buyers ask before they understand anything about how the market works. And it's a perfectly understandable question to ask. And I'm going to answer it in detail. And in a nutshell, from a financial point of view, no, it's a terrible time to buy your first home. And I will explain that and show you why, using government data to back it up. Does that mean you shouldn't buy? No. If you want and need a home and you've found one that you want to live in, that you can afford, and you've had your offer accepted, and you need somewhere to live, you should still buy, because it's more important to have a home to live in from where you can live your life than not have a home if you want to own one. So that's the general answer, which is it a good time to buy now financially? No. It's a terrible time. In fact, I can't remember much of a worse time, certainly in the last 15 years, for a first-time buyer to be buying a house. And I can already hear people going, but Charlie, I mean, the ONS says that house prices are up 3.4% today. I'm laughing so that I don't cry or burst into a rage of screaming hysteria. No, house prices have not gone up 3.4% in the last 12 months, as the ONS says. And I'm going to use the ONS's own data to show that that hasn't happened. And let me start in really simple terms so that there can be no confusion about this. I'm going to share some screens. I'm really struggling to keep a lid on the crazy today. I'm really struggling to keep a lid on it today. It makes me so angry when I think about the tens of thousands of first-time buyers every single month committing to this long-term commitment and obligation because they think it's a good financial decision. It has been in the past a great financial decision at some time going back at least 5 years. In the last 5 years, it hasn't been. In the last 2 years, it's been a terrible decision financially. But right now, it's terrible. And I know this because I've got people booking one-to-one video calls with me who bought 2 years ago because everyone told them that you can't go wrong. And now they're stuffed. Right. Let's get this nice and big on the screen. I don't want there to be any misunderstandings about this. So this is today's bulletin, right? Issued today, the 18th of December, right? And it's talking about October's house prices. Average UK house prices increased by 3.4%. I mean, the number of problems I have just with that statement being inaccurate, I'm putting to one side. Let's just take it at face value, right? Oh, okay. Average UK house prices increased by 3.4% to £292,000 in the 12 months to October 2024. That's interesting. So that means that what's 3.4% of 292,000? Oh, well, luckily I checked that out and it's this much, right? It's £9,928. So it's about £10,000 up on this time last year. Oh, why don't we go back and check what they said this time last year? Okay, here we have it. That's September. Hang on a second. Where's October? Here it is. There we are. So this is October 2023. The average UK house price was 288,000 in October 2023. Hang on a second. Because if it's 292,000 today, and they're saying that it's gone up 3.4%, which we know because my calculator tells me is 10 grand, that means that last year it should say £282,000. But it doesn't. It says £288,000. Well, I mean, there's no disputing the fact that something's not right there, is there? I mean, something can't be right with those numbers because taking 10 grand off 292 equals 282. But last year, clear as day on the ONS's website, it says 288,000. Okay. All right. So what's the explanation for this? Is there one? Well, as they said in today's output, this is a provisional estimate. Okay. Oh, so it's just a guess, actually. I mean, it is an estimate. It's not actual, it's an estimate, and it's a guess. Okay, but that still doesn't explain the difference of why you're saying 3.4%, because if I go back to last year's output and you've revised it, why wouldn't you have published that revision? Oh, I see, because if you publish the revision, then people would know, as the Telegraph found out, right? When the Telegraph went deep and did this story a week or so ago, actually it found out that house prices have been falling for some time and that even house prices provided by the ONS have been overly generous in its assessment of the market in recent years. But there's an extra sting in the tail I'm coming to. I haven't even got to that. So this graph on the screen right now, try and make it bigger. This shows that blue, the line at the top, the black line at the top is the zero line of where actual ONS house prices have ended up. And the blue line is how much they had to be revised down from their initial provisional estimate. And you can see there that this is ONS data, right? They've revised them down £7,500. So you can't have it both ways. You can't compare an unrevised number today with a revised number from a year ago, because that would be altogether now misleading, and it would mislead people into thinking that house prices are going up when they aren't. Now, okay, no, let's just put this down to good intentions, bit of incompetence, didn't really mean to mislead anybody. Never mind the fact that newspapers and TV stations and radio stations and every estate agent in the land will quote this absolute horseshit figure today, this provisionally guessed, unrevised down number that's plucked out of their arse, which will be revised later, but they won't tell us it's been revised later, so that people go, house prices are up 3.4%, house prices are up 3.4%, house prices are up 3.4%, and everyone will say it. And to be fair to the agents, why shouldn't they be able to think that? The Office for National Statistics has said house prices have increased by 3.4%. And let's not even go down the regional variations, and that's for the whole of the UK, including Northern Ireland, that was up 6% or whatever it is. I haven't even looked at that. Let's have a look. What does it say? Okay, so in England it was only 3%, not 3.4. Wales it was 4%. Scotland it was 5.5%. And they haven't put Northern Ireland in there for some reason, as they normally do. But so they're still saying 292, and I'm going to come on to the fact that even if this figure is correct, and even let's just say that house prices, and let's not talk about what the actual definition of that means, have grown 3.4%. Does that make it a good investment? Does that make it a good financial decision? And ignoring what's going to happen to the UK economy and jobs next year and inflation, just ignore that, right? That's today's output, 292. And last September, so 13 months, well, it's actually 15 months ago now, the average UK house price was 291. And now it's 292. This is just so confusing, Office for National Statistics. Why can't you just tell us what's actually happening? I mean, we know that HMRC, your colleagues at HMRC, have all of this data up front. You could just talk to them and maybe get the truth, because what's the fucking point of publishing this data if it is guessed, if it's an estimate, if it's a small sample, and if you're going to revise it anyway and then mislead everybody with what the stuff that you put out today? But okay, let's just pretend that I'm wrong about this. Let's just pretend that all of this ONS data I have used to show that the ONS data is wrong about the ONS data, because you can't compare unrevised numbers with revised numbers. If they know they're always going to get revised down, they should put that revision down in their provisional estimate. Guess what? They don't. Guess why they don't? Another whole video on that. Tonight, 8 o'clock, me and Stig, by the way. Welcome to 2025, death and poverty, all of it. But let's just come back and go, all right. Okay, Charlie, yeah, we hear what you're saying. What we want to know, though, really is actually, this doesn't sound too bad, right? I mean, this doesn't sound too bad, 3.4%. Okay, so the other data that came out today, which is what confirms my video title that property is a terrible investment right now. Anyone know what I'm going to say? Anyone got any ideas here? Is that inflation came out today, and CPIH, which is the relevant number because it's consumer price index with housing costs included, is up at 3.5%, which means, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, for those of you who bought a house a year ago and have seen your value, the price of your house rise by 3.4%, according to national statistics, it hasn't kept up with inflation. So it is officially, according to government ONS statistics, a depreciating asset. And there's more to come, right? That's even if we think that prices have gone up, which I can assure you they have not. I can assure you actual prices have not. This average figure distorts what's happening because of the change in the mix, the number of properties that are higher in the market and downsizing volumes, all that kind of stuff, right? Actual house prices have not gone up. But even if they had, it's still devalued according to today's government inflation data. So if you buy, and by the way, inflation is expected to continue rising again now. So if you buy something that's devaluing, it's going to be worth less in a year than you paid for it. Is that a good time to buy? I'd say not. Is it, when you're considering this purchase from the point of view of an investment, like an asset, do you want to buy a depreciating asset? I would say no. In other times when house price growth is real and positive and strong, then it's a different kettle of fish. I have done very well out of rising house prices over the years. They can and they do go up, but they aren't right now. Is that it? No, there's more. There's more. The actual operating costs. Let's just look at the operating costs here. This is OOH, owner occupiers housing costs. The rate of increase of the cost of owning a house is now, as of today, 7.8%, boys and girls. Hey, big cheer for this. This doesn't get reported, does it? This doesn't get reported. So not only would you be buying I don't call it an asset. To me, this is why it's a liability currently, right? Not only would you be buying a liability, but the costs of owning that liability, by the way, you don't have costs of ownership of other assets. You don't have costs of ownership of gold or costs of ownership of stocks or shares or that kind of stuff, right? Only property has an actual real maintenance cost outlay, the cost of ownership is at almost 8%. Look how strongly that's rising. That's not going anywhere, that curve. That is not going anywhere. It's good, nice and big. Make sure you can all see it properly there, right? Those are the owner-occupier housing costs, and this is from our government. Our government's figures published today. Okay, so you will be buying a thing. You'll be making it, and of course, as a first-time buyer, you are most likely going to be borrowing money to buy this thing that you want to live in. None of this, by the way, is to say that you shouldn't buy. You should buy a home because owning a home is a wonderful thing if you put to one side the cost of it. I mean, look at the way people put to one side the cost of buying cars, right? People buy brand new cars and they take finance on. They don't even want to know what the interest rate is. They just want that new car. Okay. So you need a home, arguably more than you need a car. But you buy a car anyway, even at tip-top, tippy-top showroom prices, and you suffer massive depreciation in the car, but you still buy one. Why? Because you need one and you want one. In the same way that you need and want a home if you don't want to rent. There are arguments for renting, non-financial arguments for renting, right? Flexibility, uncertainty in your life, that kind of stuff. Lots of reasons to rent sometimes. But if you want to put roots down, have a place to bring a family up, you don't want to be moving for the foreseeable future, always buy a home, but just don't expect it to make you any money anymore. This is what has changed, okay? And when I say always buy a home, just don't overpay, this is the kind of data that you need to be factoring into your decision about what overpaying means. I had another, I'm going to read it to you. Someone messaged me yesterday on X. I'm going to actually put this on screen but I'm going to make sure it's redacted so you can't tell who the person is or where it is. Hang on a second. 1 second. Here it comes. Here it comes. So this is a message I got yesterday on X from someone. They bought a place, a leasehold flat 2 years ago, and at the time the service charge was advertised around £2,750 a year, £2,750 a year. Shortly after moving in, it was around £3,150. We received notice 2 weeks ago that our service charge for 2025 will be £7,365, which is over double and utterly ridiculous. obviously their owner-occupier housing costs are rising significantly more than 8%, aren't they? So when you're buying leasehold, you've also got risks like this that you don't have as a renter. And you've just got to factor all of this stuff into your decision financially, okay? I am not saying don't buy. I am saying that work out your price. And by the way, it doesn't matter how many of you watch this, because most people don't watch these videos. Most buyers out there do not watch my videos. And they go, oh, Halifax says record house prices. ONS says 3.4% houses rising. Agents and everyone else is telling me you can't go wrong with house prices. I'm going to go into a bidding war. I'm going to go in and I'm going to overpay and buy my house and be happy. This is what happened 2 years ago. This is why I've got people messaging me now almost every day saying, Charlie, we're in a bit of a stick. We're in a bit of a spot. Our 2-year fix is coming up. We bought a Help to Buy or a new build or a leasehold. We're trying to sell it and we can't sell it. And even some of them are going, I accept I'm already going to be losing money. I'm now trying to work out how to minimize my losses. Every time I hear someone coming to me with that story about how do we cut our losses and get out of this property that we can't sell, I just think to myself, oh, but Halifax says house prices are a record high. And think to myself, come on, we're not being told the truth, right? So let's just have a quick recap. And ignoring leasehold, the extra complications of leasehold and the extra risks of buying leasehold, right? You're going to be buying a property whose price is not going to keep up with inflation currently. So straight away, you need there to be nominal house price rises of the same as or more than CPIH, just to tread water on the value of the house you're buying. And if it doesn't, by the way, the ONS is saying prices have gone up 3.4%. Have they? Fuck. I'm sorry, they haven't, right? So actually, when you actually factor in, and I did it earlier, at the ONS's official house prices from a year ago, as revised, compare it to now, after inflation, it's 4% down in value. So you're buying something that's not keeping up with inflation. You're buying something that has accelerating costs of ownership, because maintenance costs are rising, materials costs are rising, rents are rising, interest rates are going up. Oh yeah, haven't even talked about interest rates, right? Because guess what's not happening after today's inflation data? Anybody? Yes, they're not going to be cutting. I mean, maybe they will. Maybe they will. Maybe I could be wrong, right? I don't think they're going to cut the Bank of England base rate tomorrow now because of this inflation data. However, they might. And if they do, it's a sign of just how worried they are about the economy collapsing. So, is it now a good time to buy? If you have found a home, if you're out viewing, and you must be out viewing, if you're considering this decision, you need to be out viewing so that you know what is on offer, at what prices, and therefore what kind of commitment you're going to have to make to buy them, right? If you have found somewhere that you want to live, if it's within your budget, and you're going to make an offer that they're going to accept, and you've had an offer accepted, and you want to live there for a long time, and I'm saying at least 10 years, then you should still buy. But you should set your offer price taking all of this information into account. What you offer is up to you and your personal financial situation, your job security, your basis of what you think the future economy is going to be and how that's going to affect you, your company, your employer, your employment, your income. This is all before we even discuss the effect of the mass job losses coming in 2025 and what that's going to do to the economy. All right. Yeah. Just looking at some of your comments here. You see, that's a really good question. Christoph Finby on YouTube says, but how can you know if the service charge will suddenly rise like that? You can't. You don't know. This is the nightmare. At the moment, there's nothing that can be done. You can challenge it, but it's a process. You can go to a tribunal and get it challenged, but it's a nightmare. It's just a nightmare that you don't want, isn't it? Yeah, ED11 says most first-time buyers can only afford leasehold flats, especially in Southern England. Correct. Shady Shack says, I would not touch leasehold with someone else's barge pole. So Christoph MB also says earlier on, this is enough to totally be put off buying a flat again. This would be a nightmare for me if service charges go up that much to rent, and to rent would be cheaper. Now, I know that what I've said has put some people off buying. If I've put you off because you were expecting it to be a financially advantageous move, that is a good thing. I have, in my opinion, saved you. Now, if house prices go to the moon in the next 5 years, then you can blame me and say, oh, Charlie, I didn't buy because of you, and now look what's happened, I missed out. And you must always make your decision based on what you think, not what I think, because your decision is based on your location, your budget, your future, your job, your predicament, your marriage, your family, your children, your divorce, all of these things, your desire to live in this country or not, all of those things, your probability of needing to sell or not in the next few years, all of these things, right? So it has to be a decision for you. I am simply saying that you need to be certain, if you're including a financial reason in your purchase, you need to be certain that the property you are buying, you're buying at a price that you are not going to suffer asset depreciation because of inflation, that you're not going to suffer unsustainable rises in the costs of owning that house, and that it's not going to leave you drained and rinsed financially from having owned this. And this happens all the time, and no one ever admits it, for obvious reasons, right? Nobody wants to admit it, but the number of people I know about, both people I know personally and people who come to me through this, who've ended up losing so much money because they expected there to be great gains that weren't there. Which reminds me, I want to have a new where is it? Oh, it's on the wrong computer because my computer crashed. I want to start doing the overvalued property of the week. If you guys would send in, those of you who can see with the property log Chrome add-on that shows the price reductions on Rightmove, the biggest ones, they're always good fun to watch, because I think that the agents need to be shown for having overvalued that badly. And whether they say, oh, but we didn't know, well, that's just incompetence. Either they knew they were overvaluing it or they didn't know they were overvaluing it. Either way, it's not okay, is it? Yeah, Andrew Dennis says, what would that increase in service charge have as an effect on the value of the property? Yeah, it's going to, isn't it? If you're looking to buy a flat, a 2-bedroom flat, and the service charge is £3,000 a year, okay, it's 250 quid a month. And then you look at the same flat and it's £7,000 a year. Are you going to pay the same amount for that flat? No, you're not. So just the effect of that increase in service charge is going to have a horrible down valuing effect on that person's flat, very sadly. Yeah, I mean, this is before we even get into what's going to be happening with legislation, what's going to happen with the economy, what's happening with repossessions. I had so many things I wanted to do a video on today, but I'm going to have to call it there. That's that. I just wanted to get that out there, get that off my chest. And please, if you know people who are out there looking to buy a home, send them this video. I'm not asking you to like, comment, subscribe, and share. I'm asking you to make sure people who need to know this hear about it. All right? Because I'm sorry, anyone who looks at all of that ONS data, the stuff from last September, last October, today, and the fact that the Telegraph have got that article showing the down valuing that happens, and the ONS is consistently overstating house prices, you want to look at all of that and ignore it? Good luck to you. But if you are wanting to buy a home with your eyes open, I'm hoping that this will make you, first of all, ignore anyone who says, but ONS said house prices are going up 3.4%. You know, at best, they've gone up 1.4%. The ONS's figure's gone up 1.4%. And just the reason it makes me cross, right? The reason that this topic makes me cross is because every single week it's like a wave of arrows on fire about good news about the housing market, good news about the housing market, house prices going to the moon, ONS house prices going up. Every single week it's wave after wave after wave after fucking wave of bullshit about house prices. And there is nobody out there publicly trying to push back against it with actual data to support what I'm trying to say. To go, not saying don't buy, just saying be really cautious and don't overpay. And I just, I am beginning. This is why 2.5 years ago, I started saying, guys, be really careful. It's the top of the market. If you buy now, especially if you buy new and Help to Buy, you're really putting yourself at risk. This is why I started saying it, right? And I think that those risks, which have already played out in the last couple of years for those with leaseholds or Help to Buy, or who bought large houses at the top of the market, especially, all of those things are going to continue, only more so and worse in the coming 2 years, 25 and 26. The slide continues, and I think it's going to gather pace. Anyway, everybody, thanks for watching. It's a guff wave, says Cookie Monster. Yeah. Thanks for watching. At 8 o'clock tonight, Alex Groundwater and I, Alex is also known as Housing Stig, are going to be revisiting the video Welcome to 2025. If you haven't seen that, go and watch it, right? Really go and watch that. I'll put a link to it for those of you who haven't seen it in the live chat right now. Watch that. No, that's not it. Is that it? Does that link work? Let's just try that again. There we are. There's the link to. It's only 4 minutes long, but it's Welcome to 2025, and it's Alex back in 2022 reading out something he wrote, which is a prophecy about the impoverishment of the middle classes. And he lays it all out with numbers on this fictional young couple who've bought a place in London. And if you haven't then seen it, we followed that up with a video called Death in Poverty. That was me and Alex chatting at length about why he sees death in poverty as what is waiting for most people. In fact, to use his words, everyone except the super rich. Everyone except the super rich. And he sees it as unavoidable and nothing that anyone can do, no government or anybody, is going to be able to avoid it. A 20-minute video, here we are. Here's the death and poverty link as well. There you are. Watch those. If you watch those, this evening's live stream with Alex will make much more sense. Thank you, guys. And remember, if we fix housing,